D.Gray-man, Chapter 230, titled Farewell to Alan Walker, Flames and Tears. Now, if you're anything like me, you've been thinking, man, we've been saying farewell to Alan Walker for a good long time. Regardless, our chapter opens up with Alan and Canada falling through the arc to an unknown location, with Canada very graciously demanding that Alan brings them back to the carriage with Johnny and Tidal. However, the bracelet that Alan had connecting him with Johnny begins to shock both him and Canada. On Johnny and Tidal's end, Johnny ends up being shocked as well, only for the device to come off. Johnny notes that it's probably because the bracelet can no longer detect Alan in their vicinity. It was made by Chief Reaver, and so it was only able to, work for a limited distance. And note the fact that they must be quite a bit far away. Meanwhile, on the side of both Alan and Canada, Canada is none too happy about Alan continuing to run away like a little bitch. However, Alan is just not happy about this whole situation. He wants to go off and be by himself. He wants to be alone. But Canada has had enough of Alan's shit, saying that if he will not go with them peacefully, he will go in pieces, and he threatens to cut Alan in half, killing him. And he makes sure that Alan knows this is no minor threat. He also goes on to note the fact that Johnny can no longer go back to the Order. Doing what he did, leaving the Order the way he did, he will be in prison for life should he be captured. And with Alan running away the way he is, it will put Johnny in greater danger. He begins to even go as far as to call Alan a coward. And he even goes as far as to note the words that Alan gave him to him back at the North American branch. Just who is unable to face whom. He also begins to attack Alan, but Alan begins to retaliate to a certain degree, saying that he already knows all of this. He already knew the situation with Johnny, but he wants Canada to understand. Agropos killed Tim Campy as well as his master, and he just lays it all on the line. He just lays it all out there. Mostly because ultimately Canada won't be affected in a similar fashion to a normal person should they find out the true malevolent nature of innocence. The very thought that, it's innocence that this is an innocence that destroys everything in its path, memories, lives, just anything. It's more than a weapon against the Akuma. It's a monster, a creature, a malevolent spirit that will destroy humans, exorcists, Noah, Akuma, whatever it takes, just in order to protect the heart of innocence. You know, which is understandable. That's ultimately a good goal, but to protect the heart of it, since it's the only weapon to save people's lives, but the degree at which he's doing this is too severe and out of control. He just doesn't want to bring anything like that anywhere near everyone else. It could honestly cause more harm than good. And if anyone at the Order were to find out, about the malevolent and almost evil nature of, Acropophos, the heart of innocence itself as well. You know, that might cause their connection with innocence to become unstable, creating fallen ones. It could create this massive epidemic that would do nothing but hurt the Black Order as a whole. You know, if they stop believing in innocence, it will lead to the end of everything Alan knows and loves. And even just lays it right out on the line. It's just like Apocryphos wants Alan. It wants to take over his body and combine with him in order to properly destroy Nia. He even goes on to say that maybe it should. Maybe it would be for the best if it did that. But this thing has just gone on this rampage, destroying everything near and dear to Alan, and he just can't let it win. Not that easily. But everyone just keeps getting closer and closer to him, and he just keeps running away because he just keeps worrying for their safety. He's in a dangerous situation, being hunted by the Order, Apocryphos, the Noah, Akuma. It's like he's just tired. He's put in a situation that's just uncontrollable and beyond his ability to deal with. And he just kind of lies down for a moment and just cries because he really has to take in the fact that Tim Campy is no longer there with him. Tim Campy, who's been with him since he was a little kid. This is just something that he just can't be okay with. Maybe innocence is just as bad as the Akuma in a certain sense. Ultimately, Kaneda just kind of tells Alan to just shake it off and get them back to the Tidal's wagon. But Alan says he doesn't really know the location of the wagon. He never looked outside to get a clear grasp of where they were, and without that, he can't activate the Ark to get them back to where they need to go, much to Kaneda's annoyance. However, Alan notices some markings on a nearby tree, and we come to find out this is actually the burial spot of Nea's dog, Alan. This is the place where Mana's dog, Alan, I should say. This is the place where Alan met the Master and Tim Campy, and where he ultimately became the person known as Alan Walker. And that's where our chapter ends. Now, the thing with D.Gray-man is it's still a fun series. It's still deep, it still has a lot of good lore and stuff of that nature. However, it's just too much time continues to pass between chapters. If we got a couple of chapters within a set period of time, that'd be fine before, we got a little bit of a hiatus. Get a bunch of information, goes on hiatus. Get a bunch of information, goes on hiatus. At least that works to a certain degree to the benefit of Hunter x Hunter. But here, it's just having one chapter for what seems like every 6 months does this series no favors. It really doesn't, because the mind can only remember so much. Honestly, I only have so much recollection about what's currently going on in this series because I rewatched all of D.Gray-man earlier because, they finally dubbed the last part of the original series. So I went back and watched that. So I'm a little bit more in the know currently, but there's still a lot of questions that I really need some answers for. Specifically, the question of Nea and Mana. Who is who? Not to mention the Millennium Earl and that whole section there, because there seems to be a contradiction there. And I'm hoping that at some point we'll get an answer as to what exactly Alan's connection with the Millennium Earl really is, because something seems off about all of this. Even Alan going so far as to try to bring Mana back, something's not right. There was some kind of disconnect before the author started going on these hiatuses. And I'm really looking forward to hopefully getting that settled and, having a clear understanding of what's going on there. But, we're still going through this whole situation where it's farewell, Alan Walker. He's slowly being absorbed by the 14th. But it's just like, eh, if you can't really feel like progress is being made because the chapters come out at such a slow pace that it's just like, oh yeah, that was happening. We went like a few steps forward and now we're back to waiting again. And it's just like, I understand that the author has their own personal issues. It's just a matter of, you can only retain so much. Ultimately, I feel that once we finally do make headway in this, may it be in the next 10 years, hopefully we'll get a solid conclusion, and then I'll just go back and reread this whole series from beginning to end, because there's just so many gaps in my memory whenever I read this. And I can't go back and reread or rewatch the entire thing up until this point just to know what I need to know to read one chapter. Ugh. I love this series. I really do. Don't get it twisted. But it's hard to love this series when it's just keeps coming back into my life and leaving all over again. Please, D.Gray-man, come back to me. Don't you love me anymore? But tell me your thoughts in the comments section below. How do you feel about this chapter? Alan's thoughts on the whole situation with Apocryphos? Canada trying, quotation marks, to be a nicer person? Guess those quotation marks should go over nicer, but whatever. And, just what kind of flashback do you think we'll have now? Because it feels like we're about to go into a flashback. And if you liked what I had to say about this chapter, leave me a like. If you didn't, feel free to leave me a dislike and tell me what I'm doing wrong. And subscribe for more chapters of D.Gray-man whenever we get them next.